to be able to make this break. So you are recovered and we can start very fresh. So our topic, I mentioned last that my main question will be to make some remarks on the kind of criteria which will be suitable for planning and carrying out projects and programs in the field of integration through sport. And to find an answer for this question, it seems to be necessary to have a little bit deeper insight in the term, in the basic conditions and the process of integration. So, and at the beginning, I would like to make a short definition of the term. Social integration in general is a process of combining a group of persons to integrate in the mainstream of the society. A group of persons may be minority groups, refugees, as we heard it in the example from WIS, underprivileged sections of the society, ethnic or religious minorities. And the second point is that to integrate it into the mainstream of the society and to make available the opportunities, the rights and the services of the mainstream society. We should be aware that social integration is a long-lasting and very differentiated process of joining together and growing together. And it needs convergence, argumentation, communication, finding agreements, identification of differences, assumption of common responsibilities. And I would like to disseminate integration from assimilation. Integration demands not to surrender own cultural identity. On the other hand, on the contrary, assimilation means total conformity. We speak about integration, not about assimilation. The process of integration, I characterize it as a long-lasting process, can be differentiated into 4 steps. At first, accommodation. Structural integration means that the migrants become recognized as a member of the uptaking society. They get entrance to social positions and get equal chances within the society. But they have to fulfill some preconditions already for this first step. And precondition, one of the most important preconditions, is that they will be able to speak the language of the uptaking society. It's a very big problem in Germany with our migrants. And to have knowledge about the social rules of the uptaking society. Second step is acculturation, cultural integration. That means learning and internalization of the culture of the uptaking country, which enables to participate in the social life, but to keep as well own cultural identity. It's a process of balancing the social cultural identity of the uptaking and their own cultural background. Balancing. The third step is social integration. The uptaking society accepts the migrants in the private sector when they participate in social activities and become members in social groups of the society. For instance, for our background, the sport clubs or the sport entities are such social backgrounds. And the last step is the identificating integration. That means migrants develop a personal feeling of affiliation. They feel we are really in now. They feel integrated. I think we should have in mind these 4 steps as a long-lasting and progressing process in integration. On the other hand, I would like to mention some obstacles for successful integration. We know today that unequal social chances of migrants are the most important reason for failing successful integration. Unequal social chances. Many migrants are underprivileged in respect to education opportunities, to gainful employment, and to meaningful perspectives of living, for instance in regard to leisure activities. I would like to give you some figures about that from Germany, just to show you a little bit, to explain a little bit these unequal chances. In the first chart, it's a differentiation between foreigners and Germans. Secondary modern schools, 55 from 100 children in Germany are on secondary modern schools, and Germans are only 19. And on the other hand, on the high school, foreigners 14 out of 100, and Germans 35. I think this is an example about the unequal educational opportunities. You can see on the other picture the no school leaving qualification, foreigners 18, Germans only 7. Entrance requirement for higher education, foreigners 10, Germans 25. I don't want to go too in details about these figures, but I think they are quite obvious. No school living qualification are the same. Rate of unemployment, 25%, and Germans 11%. So you can also see the difference. So let me come back to efforts towards a better integration. And I would like to explain with these remarks I have done already that integration needs a networking strategy. And it's not only to practice sport activities when we come back to our sport. Those strategy needs to encourage immigrants for language acquisition, the increase in level of education, participation in working life, participation in meaningful leisure activities like culture activities or sport activities. Those general remarks may be a little bit too academic for our round table here, but in my opinion they can make us aware that the process of integration in general, and even if we are going to facilitate integration through sport, is a difficult, a long-lasting, a complex process. This insight may prevent us from too high expectations in our integration programs and projects related to sport. That should be my message. Not to have too high expectations. Those remarks may make us realize as well that the process of integration is not running for itself, is not coming automatically. Integration has to be strived for, on one hand from the position of the uptaking society, and on the other hand from the migrant himself. He has to do his part. He has to be willing for active engagement in public or private office has to make efforts for learning either the language, professional skills, or cultural habits. As a first resume, I would like to say social integration is a long-lasting process. This process has to be arranged as a holistic and educational orientated